So in today's session, we're going to talk about the difference between a high intermediate diff and a low intermediate diff asymmetrical ball, and what the characteristics are in ball motion. So let's just list them as we got a high, and we'll use 027 intermediate diff versus a lower, not low, lower of 017. Okay, so what happens with the two ball motions is, in this case here, you have a ball motion that is sharper off the spot. Let's use that as the first characteristic, as opposed to this one that is a little less sharp off the spot. They both may hook exactly the same, cover the same amount of boards, but what happens off the spot is where it had, this ball is going to be a quicker move to the pocket, more dramatic motion, and depending on how crisp the back ends are or how the ball comes off the spot, it may lose energy a little bit quicker. With the lower one, you're going to need more gradual change of direction, and it'll probably be a little more continuous. So it depends on what you're bowling on and when you should use it. Many times, if you're a player that has a spot to throw it to, a high friction spot down lane, you can get away with a higher intermediate diff. You know it's going to come off the spot. You know it's going to be quick and violent. In a case where it's maybe not as defined, you want to throw a lower intermediate diff ball and throw it to that spot and let it come off gradually, and then adjust accordingly so that you probably would move your feet to make more of an angle down lane. In this case, you can make moves to the opposite side and move in further as opposed to out. So now that we have an idea of what's going to go on with the motion, let's talk about what happens as it goes through the pins. In the case of the high differential ball, you're going to have a sharper move, a quicker, more violent move, and it's going to lose energy quicker. It's going to be sharper, quicker. So if you're not close enough to the pins when it comes off that spot, that ball is probably going to roll end over end a little bit in some cases. In a case where that happens, the lower intermediate diff is your ideal situation. It comes off the spot fairly sharp, but not as sharp, and doesn't peel off or burn energy quicker. And it'll be more continuous through the pins. Both have a place in your game depending on how you're playing them and what the lane pattern is giving you. So let's talk about the player's style and where you might fit in. If you're a higher speed, you're probably going to go with the direction of the higher intermediate diff, because you know you're going to get more motion down lane. You're not going to rely on rotation or friction as much as you are. You're going to need ball help. And that's where you'll get it from the high intermediate diff ball. If you're more of a rev dominant player, you probably can get away with it here with the lower intermediate diff, because you'll create the motion yourself. And same thing with speed. If you're a speed dominant player, you're going to probably have to go that way. You want more predictability down lane. If you're a rev dominant player, you want to go with the lower number in most cases. Again, a lot depends on the pattern you're bowling on, the duration of the tournament or league session, the surface you put on the ball, but this is just a generality of what happens from the break point. The high intermediate diff balls are more violent. They peel off energy quicker. The lower intermediate diff balls are a little less violent and peel off energy a lot slower. This could be more continuous in most cases for the average player. This would be more of a quick stop, quick hook stop. So this is what position we like to start with, but we're more interested in what you see as a bowler, as the consumer, as our customer. So what do you see between the high diff and the lower intermediate diff? Drop them in the comments below, and let's get a little conversation going.